Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to this lesson. Today we are going to talk about how to recycle this common type of material, which is called paper. So as you can see here in the paper, in the picture, most of us know what paper is, but in order to differentiate it from other materials, we have to define it scientifically. Paper is a thin material that is made from wood pulp or other plant fibers. It is primarily used for writing, printing, and packaging. It has been a common material for centuries, and it is known for its versatility and recyclability. So here is how it is recycled. First of all, we collect the paper from offices, homes, schools, and businesses, and then we sort the paper into categories like newspapers on their own pile. We collect cardboard together, office paper together, and mix the paper has to form its own pile. After that, then we also have to talk about non-paper materials like staples, plastics, and adhesives. They are removed manually or using machines in order to be recycled at their own pace in a different processor. So after that, then we can talk about shredding the papers. Sorted papers and then fed into shredding machines, and that cut them into small pieces. Shredding increases the surface area for easier processing in the next step. The next step, which is called pulping. Shredded paper is mixed with water and chemicals in a pulping machine to create a slurry-like substance called paper pulp. So it depends on what you want to do with the paper. So that's what determines the kinds of chemicals that you are going to be using. So you have to research depending on the type of paper that your client wants. Then you have to go on internet and on other resources to find out what kind of chemicals you need to combine the paper with in order to create the right pulp that you need. So shredded paper is typically mixed with water and chemicals such as sizing agents, retention aids, and deformers in a pulping machine to create paper pulp. The chemicals help break down the paper fibers and remove the ink and adhesives, and remove the ink and the adhesives, and so that they cannot contaminate the paper when it moves on to the next stage. So the pulping process breaks down the paper fibers into smaller components. So on the picture here, what we see is the shredder machine. This is what it does. It just cuts the paper into smaller granules or fragments that can be processed further into in the next stage. And then after this, we talk about cleaning. The pulp is then passed through screens and filters to remove large contaminants like plastics and glue and staples that might have passed filtered through in the previous stage. So fine cleaning removes smaller particles using centrifugal cleaners. So we also have to talk about de-inking, because most of the papers that we use usually contain a large amount of ink. So air bubbles are introduced into the pulp in a process called flotation. Those ink particles then will stick to the bubbles and rise to the surface where they are going to be skimmed off, or alternatively washing systems can rinse the pulp to remove the ink. So here is the de-inking process. They are removing the ink using all the various ways, including brushing and washing using chemicals. So after this, then we can talk about refining and bleaching the paper. The cleaned pulp is refined to improve fiber quality and ensure a smoother end product. Some facilities mix recycled pulp with virgin fibers in order to enhance the strength. And pulp is made strong through a combination of factors, including the type of fibers that are used, the refining process, and any additives or chemicals used during the pulping process. When you realize that your pulp isn't strong enough, you can also go to the libraries and research on the type of chemicals that you can use in order to make your pulp strong enough for the purpose for which you want your paper. And the fibers in the pulp will intertwine and bond together during the paper making process, creating a very strong and durable material. Additionally, the refining process helps to align the fibers and increase their bonding strength, resulting in a stronger pulp. So chemicals such as fillers, sizing agents, and strength additives rather, are commonly added to the pulp to give it its strength. These chemicals help improve the bonding between fibers, increase the density of the paper, and enhance its overall strength and durability. Some examples of strength additives include wet strength agents and dry strength agents, which improve the paper's resistance to tearing and increase its strength when wet. You can also consider bleaching. This is optional because it's only used when the paper has too much ink in it, and you need to remove the ink or to discolor it at some point. So this is the bleaching process. We're not going to talk much about it because it is optional. It depends on the type of paper that you are going to be making. So from the pulping process, then we are going to the second of life stage, that is called the sheet formation. So at this stage, the pulp then is diluted with water and then spread onto a large screen on a 4-drying machine. It works by forming a continuous paper web from a suspension of fibers in water. So in simple terms, the pulp is pumped onto a moving mesh belt called the 4-drying wire, which filters out the water and allows the fibers to align and bond together to form a continuous sheet of paper. As the wire moves through a series of rollers and dewatering processes, the paper web then is pressed and dried to create the final product. The 4-drying machine revolutionized the paper making by allowing for the mass production of paper on a large scale. Water is then drained through the screen, leaving a mat of fibers. So the mat is then pressed to remove excess water, and what remains there is what we see on the picture, is what we call paper. So this is the 4-drying machine, and that rather is the finished paper. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So after that, then we have to dry the paper. The semi-dry paper is then fed through heated rollers in a drying section. The heat evaporates any remaining moisture, creating a dry and uniform paper sheet. We then start rolling the paper into reels for easy handling and transportation, and the rolls are then cut also into standard sizes based on the customer's requirements. After that, then we test the paper for consistency, strength, and color and smoothness. And the defective paper, fortunately, is not discarded or thrown away. It is recycled back into the process, and the recycled paper is then packaged and shipped to the manufacturers for the use in making products like notebooks, cardboard boxes, newspapers, or tissues, etc. So if you do not have any of the machines that we've been talking about, here is what you can do at home. You need the following materials. One, use paper. You need a blender or a mortar and pestle. It is optional for easier processing. You need a large tub or basin. You need warm water, a mesh screen or fine sieve, a rolling pin or flat object for pressing. You need towels or sponges, and you may also need natural glue or like cornstarch paste or dye in order to decorate the paper. From there, then you remove any staples or tape or any other non-paper elements. Those are what we called contaminants in the previous stage. We tear the paper into small pieces for easier processing. That is what we call shredding. We place the torn paper into a tub or basin and then add warm water and let the paper soak for at least 4 to 6 hours or overnight, or if the paper is a little bit tougher. So from there, then we can create the pulp. We mash the soaked paper into a thick pulp using hands or a mortar and pestle. If you have a blender, it can speed up the speed, but it isn't necessary. So place the mesh screen or sieve over an empty basin to catch excess water. Pour the paper pulp onto the screen and spread it evenly to form a thin layer. Use a rolling pin, a flat object, or your hands to press out as much water as possible while maintaining an even thickness. For colored paper, then that's when you can start adding your dyes, natural dyes like beetroot juice or food coloring during the pulp making stage. For decorative paper, then you can mix in dried flowers or leaves or threads before spreading the pulp. And this process is eco-friendly and perfect in crafting projects like greeting cards, bookmarks, or wrapping paper. So after that, then when you have dried the paper, by carefully transferring the pressed pulp still on the screen onto a flat surface and covered with a towel, you allow it to dry completely, and this can take a day or more depending on the thickness and humidity. And then once dry, you can then gently peel the recycled paper from the screen and then trim the edges if desired, and then you can start using the recycled paper. All the best, ladies and gentlemen. You can and then start making business, or rather making money. Open your business using the papers that you find dumped on the street without even buying anything in terms of raw materials. All the best.